All right, so here we go. Tangent of 60 degrees. So let's sketch that out. 60 degrees. There's our reference angle. Here's our triangle. And so tangent, and let's just go ahead and assume a radius value of 1. That's what we've been using. Tangent of 60 degrees. Well, we can look back up at the chart, and it's going to be the square root of 3 if we look back up there. So tangent 60 degrees root 3. But let's build this one out real fast just to show us why. So our reference angle is still 60 degrees. And so our opposite side, remember this is a 60, 30, 90 right triangle. So 60, 30, 90. If our hypotenuse is 1, that means that our short side needs to be 1/2. And our long side is the root 3 over 2. Okay. And so then opposite, or sine, is opposite over hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is just 1, and that's part of why we've been just kind of ignoring it and just taking just the y value. It's because it's root 3 over 2, which divided by 1 is just root 3 over 2. Cosine, and likewise, is adjacent over hypotenuse. So hypotenuse again is 1, so it's being divided by 1. The adjacent side is 1/2, and 1/2 divided by 1 is just 1/2. So that's why we've been really just taking the adjacent side. We are considering the adjacent divided by hypotenuse, just the hypotenuse for what we've been using is 1. So there we go. Now continuing on, this time we're going to take our tangent. That is going to be opposite over adjacent. Now what is the opposite side here? The opposite side is root 3 over 2 divided by, so over adjacent, which is 1/2. We don't typically divide by fractions. Instead, we're going to multiply by a reciprocal. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and we're left with the square root of 3. And now we can see kind of why that would be. So root 3 is our answer. And tangent of negative 3 pi over 4. Let's give us a little more room. So here's our sketch. And it is more than 1/2 pi, but it's not quite to negative pi. So it's going to be somewhere here in quadrant 3. And in quadrant 3, oh, we forgot to mention that in quadrant 1. So back here in quadrant 1, let me rewrite that. Quadrant 1 tangent is positive. And in quadrant 3, so back to problem H here, quadrant 3 tangent is also positive. Tangent's also positive. So what is our reference angle? Okay, if we had negative 3/4 pi, and I'm really just going to think about the positive, the movement of it. So 3/4 pi, and we went 1/2 of pi already, so it's minus, okay, ignore the negative because we're, again, talking about the movement, the absolute value of it. So 3/4 pi minus 1/2 pi, which is 2/4 pi. And we're left with 1/4 pi. Now our reference angle there, if this is 1/4 pi, our reference angle is also 1/4 pi. If we were to, what is the tangent of 1/4 pi? 1/4 pi tangent is 1. So answer here is 1. And it's positive 1 because this is in the quadrant 3 where tangent is positive. All right, hope that helps.